start watching others, when you start comparing yourself to others and you start to get jealous, wrong energy.
Wrong energy is right. And you know what? It comes back tenfold on them, right?
Always does.
Yeah.
It always does.
Karma's a bitch only if you are.
Yes! Yes! So done.
Okay, we're ready to go. We're just going to dive right into it.
So, do you want me to look at you or?
You look
Both.
at each other. Do not
Both.
Wherever.
I'm not here.
We're just
Okay.
supernatural supernatural.
Super-
One of us is. We'll just pretend like he's not even here.
Okay.
We're just going to have like a really flowy conversation.
Sounds good.
We're all good.
Like the hat.
Love the hat.
Get the hair out of my mouth.
Yeah.
Good.
All good.
Okay. Ready?
All right.
Thank you for joining and welcome to In the Vault with the Kate Broddick team. I am Kate Broddick and I am so excited to have my dear friend Shae from McLeod and Associates here to join us today to talk about her tips for success, things that she wished she didn't focus on in her career. And I want to dive into the make of your team because for me, that is something that sets you apart. And so welcome. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
I'm
and
excited
I love
to be
time
here
with my
too.
girls, so I'm excited.
Yeah, that's right. You know what? It's almost like a chat that we get to have over lunch or over dinner.
I love it.
And that's exactly what
We're
we're here
overdue.
today. We are
We're overdue.
Actually, the last time we went out for dinner was a while ago. That was
Oh, yes. Twisted lemon.
Twisted Lemon. That's
Yes.
right. And
So
actually,
good.
I got to go back there because that was amazing.
It was so good.
Shae
They're
has
my
all
dear
the
friends.
hot spots.
Yes, my dear friends own Twisted Lemon, and it is so good.
But that's located closer to Lake Erie.
Yeah, Cayuga.
Cayuga.
Yeah.
Very good. I do have to go back. We should go back.
We're going
It's
back.
like our little date night
We're
spot.
going back. Date night. Okay, I'm ready.
So before we get into it, just a little bit about yourself that I think everybody should know because we were following we were following each other on social media.
Yes.
And then you reached out to me and we started this friendship, which I hold very dear. But also, you're just such a savvy businesswoman, and I
Thank
really
you.
want people to know that and know about you. So if you wouldn't mind taking a few minutes to talk about how you got into real estate,
Okay.
how you started this boss babe team that are awesome, and what are your goals that you see coming in the future?
Absolutely. So I got into real estate simply because I was investing in real estate with a partner of mine, and I was also had a background of sales. And I just kind of, I felt like I was in a place in my life where I was ready for the next step. I had a government career, I had a government job, and didn't love it. So I got into bridal sales on the side, and my manager said to me, like, Shae, you're a driven, like, natural salesperson. You need to get into pharmaceuticals or you need to get into real estate. And I'm like, well, I can't sell anything I'm not passionate about, so pharmaceuticals is, like, off for me, but let's get into real estate. And it kind of worked hand in hand because I was investing. I had a renovation company with a business partner, so it all kind of tied in very well. And I was a realtor for a year. I was doing it on my own. And then I reached a point where I was like, wow, this is so awesome. I'm loving what I do. I'm loving who I'm hanging out with and who I'm helping. But at certain points, I felt like I was driving all across Ontario to help investors. And I was like, I can't do this alone. I need a team. And a lot of people said, you know, like, you're only a year in the business. You're way too young to start a team. It makes no sense. You got to keep going. And I didn't listen, started my team anyways.
Yes.
And I decided to focus on a few things. Focus on the markets that I was heavily invested in with my investors, as well as markets that I was passionate about, and building a team with women that I genuinely enjoyed, genuinely had a great relationship with. Yes. So I started looking through my close friend group, and I started browsing the girls who were in careers and they weren't really fulfilled, they weren't really passionate, but I was like, you know what, they would make an excellent salesperson. And I started, you know, sliding into their DMs.
Yeah.
I was like, have you ever thought about a career in real estate? And converted quite a few girls into real estate. And there were some others who were already getting their real estate license. So it all kind of worked and put them in different markets. So today I have an agent in Toronto, I have an agent in Niagara, one who does Haldimand, Hamilton, and I'm up in Cottage Country.
In Muskoka.
Yeah, so it is, it's a pretty good gig, you know?
Yeah.
It's one of those things where, you know, all of the girls were friends. We genuinely have great relationships outside of work, so it doesn't really feel like work.
Yeah. You're doing what you love with those you love.
Yes.
And I love that. And what I really admire about you is, one, I'm all about the empowered woman.
Yes.
When I see a strong woman who knows what she wants, has good values, and is ready to just tackle things,
yes,
that sets me on fire, because it's such a beautiful thing to watch a woman grow into her full potential. And that's
100%.
what I think when I think of you.
Oh, thank you.
And we're going to get into your team, because I find it fascinating, because for the longest time, I had an all-female team.
I know you did.
And now I got some testosterone. I don't even know what to do with that anymore, but it's great. Yeah, and they offer such a great insight. But, you know, those 8 years of having that all-female team did something for me.
Yeah.
And it's all about that empowerment. But what I love about your team is so different.
We are so different, and I love it.
I love it too, but you've got women in different areas,
yes,
but you guys come together as one brand.
It's pretty awesome.
It is pretty awesome. And like, I want to talk a little bit later about how you manage that and how you set those expectations. How do you stay together as a culture? Because that's really fascinating to me, and I commend you on that, because I look up to it. I think it's fantastic what you've done.
It's been, I would say this, you know, when I got into real estate, it was a very interesting, you know, industry for me, because I've never been one to fit in. And it's funny when I say that, because people are like, really? And, you know, I on the outside, I can be a great girly girl, but on the inside, I'm a tomboy, and I like being different. I'm very unique.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to lose me in real estate. And I feel like I see so many realtors who get in the industry and they're just following along what everybody else is doing, and they lose them. And I vowed to myself, from my marketing to my business, my branding, everything, I would not lose who I am. And so our team is very recognized because we have a very unique appeal.
Yes.
But I love it, to be honest. And our clients appreciate it. Our clients love it. And we're just, I think in a world where everybody struggles to fit in, it's pretty awesome when you see people who are just standing out.
Yes.
And so, yeah.
They're authentic.
Yes.
You're true to yourself.
Yes.
And I'm going to do a shout out here to Shae, because we've done how many transactions together?
Oh my goodness. I don't even count
Was it 3?
anymore.
I think it was 3.
4, 3?
It was something around there.
Around there.
And
okay.
it was like piled into about 18 months. And what I will say is, when your transaction comes across my team's desk, my girls are thrilled.
I love your girls. I was walking in and Lauren messaged me. I'm like, literally, I love your girls. They're so sweet and they're so genuine, and they just have great energy. Like, I feel that. Even, you know, they've messaged me here and they're like, hey, Shae, hope all is well. And I'm like, oh, I love you guys.
Yeah, but that's because we are reciprocal. It's a pitch and catch together, right?
Yes.
And our teams, when I know that we're doing a transaction, we know it's getting done. We know our clients are going to be happy. We know there's not going to be any issues. Nothing. And even our staff and admin teams, like, just so collaborative.
They get along really well. And I think that's really funny, because a lot of people get surprised when they see like 2 agents who, you know, sometimes we kind of work along the same markets, and they are like, oh, wow, you guys get along? Like, there's no competition? I'm like, no. When I see another boss babe killing it, I'm like, yes, go,
that's
girl,
right. Let's go for
dinner.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
That's right. And that's how it should be.
100%.
And that's what
100%.
I love so much about you. And I mean, outside on a personal level, but as a business person, like, you're there to fulfill what your client requires, and that's a transaction that's successful and all parties are happy.
Exactly.
And there doesn't need to be that tension. There doesn't need to be that stress.
No,
right?
Real estate is such a stressful, like, a real estate transaction is such a stressful experience that our jobs are to come in there and make it as smooth sailing as possible. And when you have 2 agents who are working together for the same goal, to keep their clients happy and to see this transaction through, it is such a beautiful experience.
It is.
I was literally talking to my client who I bought the last that we did together. I was literally talking to him on my way here. And it was such a wonderful experience, because it was one of those things where I feel like a lot of people get into, especially with how crazy the market's been lately, a lot of people get into these situations where they feel like they almost have to have like an aggressive approach to realtors. And it's like, no, that's not how this works. You want to get along with the realtor you're working with.
Yes.
You want to have a great relationship. And so it's funny, because when I saw that last listing come up, I was like, oh, my girl Kate's got a new listing coming up. Kate? Yeah. Kate, I like this one.
Yes.
We're going to buy it. I think I actually said that. I think, like, I saw the coming soon and I was like, yeah, we're going to buy this one. Don't worry.
And it's the support too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how great can we look back on our path from a business perspective and say, you know what, we have done each other justice, but we've done also justice for our clients.
I love it.
And everyone can win in this situation, right? So
Yes.
it's been awesome. And so I had to do that shout out. Yes.
Here for it. Thank you.
And I love it when my staff are like, we love Shae, we love her team, because we know the next transaction, that is already going to come with positive energy, right?
100%. And energy is everything, you know.
Oh, we
She's
do.
like my soul sister.
We're like the whole metaphysical world, which we won't get into today, but
That's like
we
a
do
whole
share
other
that.
podcast.
Yes, that's right. So what I want to talk to you today about is because you have been so successful in creating, in my opinion, a recognizable brand. And you're going to laugh at this. I actually texted Lauren on the way here and I said, Lauren, what brokerage is Shae with? Because I don't think of brokerage. I think of McLeod and Associates.
That's pretty awesome.
That is awesome because you should have your brand there.
Yeah.
And then I found out it was Keller Williams.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, well, we're good.
You know what? One of the things that when I was looking for a brokerage, one of the things that drew me to Keller Williams, which is funny because I never thought I would be at Keller Williams. And as I started to meet with them more and learn more about their vision and the brokerage itself, one of the things the recruiter, who is now one of my close friends, said to me was, at Keller Williams, we allow you to brand yourself and not lose yourself within just the brokerage.
Yes.
And that was so important to me because I feel like one of the hardest things a person can do on this planet is figure out who they are.
Yes.
And I didn't want to lose me in my business. And so oftentimes I get asked that, like, what brokerage do you work for? And I'm like, well, we're with Keller Williams. And because they just recognize, like you said, the name. So
that's right.
I appreciate that.
But
that's
I love that. and that's one of the things that I think new realtors and experienced realtors should hear about is those things that you've done along your career that have made you successful. And we've had phenomenal top agents, just an array of personalities and how they conduct their business. And it's so interesting because what they have to say is often characteristic traits versus business practices.
Yes.
Because they do focus more on the value of who they are and what they bring to the table.
So important.
Versus just like cold calling, door knocking, and even though those are great things, all the things that I don't do, but even though those are pinnacle tasks that led to success, it's how they worked on themselves
100%.
in order to successfully
100%.
carry out those business practices. So we're going to get into a few things that you can pinpoint that has really led to your success.
Yes. I'm here for it.
And we're going to talk about one thing that you wish you just really didn't spend too much time on.
Okay.
I want to talk a little bit about that team and how you came up with that idea because I think it's fantastic. And then we're going to end with a tip and a question you want to ask our next guest to be determined. Well, actually, we know who it is. And I have a tip and a question for you from James in the City, who was absolutely had me in stitches. I had to literally rest my mouth for
I follow him on social media.
Oh, he's
awesome.
Fantastic. He's fantastic. What a great guy. And I love his genuine heart too, right? So let's start with the first one. What would you say is one thing that you can pinpoint in your career that has helped led you to the success that you've had?
Collaboration.
I love it.
The women at the top are collaborating. They're not competing. They're collaborating.
Right. That's right.
And so it is, without a doubt, I collaborate with, a lot of people ask, how do I sell in Ontario, in Alberta, in parts of the States? Collaboration. So I think that is absolutely, when I started real estate, it was actually crazy. I was doing deals in Alberta before I was even doing local deals.
Wow.
And it was consistent. I think we banged off over 30 transactions right away.
Wow.
And people were like, how are you doing this? And I recognized at the time in our market, the investment opportunities that were really cash flowing weren't in Ontario. They were in Alberta. So I collaborated with an amazing agent out there, and we've become very, very close friends. And it's a pretty wonderful relationship when you can help others grow while also growing and learning yourself and also learning new markets and being able to provide new opportunities for clients. And so I think collaboration is everything. I think sometimes a lot of people who are stuck in that old school mentality, they kind of want to keep everything in for themselves. And I just don't think it's sustainable.
I agree. And it also makes it a very lonely business.
100%.
And what I love about you with collaboration is it's not just business. How many times did you check up on me when I needed it? Voice notes, girl, I'm here. What are you doing? How are you doing? I feel you. And I loved that because I needed that. And that was more than just the collaborative approach to your business.
Yes.
That grows deeper relationships.
100%.
And I agree. And actually, Andrew Perry called me asking,
Andrew.
do I have any cottages in Muskoka? I'm like, you're calling the wrong girl. Call Shae.
He called me last week.
That's right. I'm like, call Shae. Because, and once again, these are opportunities that it's like when you're able to name drop in a positive manner in a room that you're not in, that to me is the highest form of a compliment.
100%.
And that's all about collaboration.
100%. I love it.
And I love that too. So, and once again, for any new realtors out there, how would you start that?
Social media.
Yes.
So this is a topic I talk about all the time. And when I tell you that 95% of my clients come through social media, Instagram, Facebook, people are like, Shae, there's no way. And that is my tunnel. And the reason behind that, it's kind of interesting because when I got into, even before real estate, I never had a really big social media following. And I really struggled with, a lot of people say, yeah, just buy followers. And I was like, I don't really want a bunch of people I don't know on my social media. I really want people who know me, like me, appreciate me, and vice versa. And so I started out, with just just talking about what I was doing and sharing parts of my life that I wanted to share. And I remember when I first got my license, my broker of record said, Shae, you need a real estate social media. And I said, absolutely not. And I said, that is too much work. I want to be authentic and I want people to work with me. And because they like me, they trust me, and they know me. Yeah. And social media is a massive platform to be able to do that. And so one day I'm posting cottage for sale. The next day I'm posting, the team. Maybe I'm posting me on a dirt bike.
Your beautiful niece.
My niece. Oh, my nieces. Oh my goodness. They're the light of my life. So I really try to show, the best parts of my life that I genuinely fall in love with every single day, because when clients come up to me, I've actually had clients reach out to me and say, I want to work with you. I learned you on social media. I know that sounds really weird, but I feel like I already know you.
Yes.
And when you're doing a real estate transaction, it doesn't matter what denomination, it's so important to work with people you know, you like, and you trust.
Yes.
And when you have that relationship, it's a very different experience. My clients turn into close friends. They never just stay off as clients, which I'm so grateful for, because this can be a very lonely industry.
Yes.
If you're only focused on one thing, which is financial success. Once you start focusing on the relationships that you're creating and the people you get to meet and the people you can help along the way, it's a whole different ballgame.
And I really think everyone needs to watch your stories. I'm addicted to them. I'm completely obsessed. I actually type your name, which is already in my search box.
I love it.
Because it's everything from cottage stuff to what are you doing in your personal life, your nieces, astrology, which I'm always like, okay, I got to check my horoscope today. I'm going to Shae's page. I don't even go to the other stuff. I love it because it's such a testament to who you are, what you value. Yeah. And I think it's fun and it's real.
Yes.
And it's entertaining. And not meaning to be entertaining.
But you know what? You never know who you're motivating, right?
Yes.
And so I think it's super important to just get on your socials and just, sometimes pop on video, pop on a live, share something cool that you're doing. One thing that I love, so Kate and I are very similar. Kate is she is an early bird. I love seeing your morning selfies with your coffee. And then you're in the gym with Ozzy. I'm like, go girl. I'm like, okay, I gotta go for a walk today. you never know who you're inspiring. And it could be the smallest thing. And so I think it's so important to just stay authentic and genuine to who you are, especially on camera, especially on social media, because you really want people to get to know you for you.
That's right.
And here's the thing, if they don't like you, if you guys don't match, who cares?
That's right.
Something better is on its way. And so I think social media is a wonderful platform to take advantage of, whether you're starting your career, whether you're in a place where you feel like your career needs some love. Just get on there. You don't have to overdo it. I personally love social media because I feel like I'm usually really busy. So it's one where it's a way where I feel like I can keep in contact with my girlfriends, my realtor friends, my family, my friends, clients, and still be able to show what I'm up to. So,
I love that. And I really do think everyone, your personal and you have a business page too. So there's two, and we'll tag those at the end.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, so the collaboration, I 1,000% agree with. It's something that I wished I had known the benefits of from a personal level earlier on in my career. So I'm
Nobody
glad that you
teaches you
mentioned
this.
that one. No one does. And it's
Nobody talks about it. When
and
people
it's-
always say, get in one market, know your market. And I'm like, no.
oh, no, there's a big world out there.
Yeah.
Get to know it. So what would you say your second tip would be then?
I would say,
Or the second thing that's led to your success or helped lead to your success?
I would say having a CRM that works for you. And so
Nobody said that yet. I love this.
the reason why I say this is so important. So I have ADHD. So getting on, yes. That's not for my fellow ADHDers.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important to figure out what works for you when it comes to running your business. So there are many different types of CRMs, and there's many different ways of like keeping track of your clients and your business and all that kind of stuff. But I think it's important to find something that works for you. One thing that works for me, other than, just like the regular follow-up, is actually having impersonal phone calls with my clients. I'll call my client, hey, Steph, how's it going?
Yes.
How's Italy? What are you up to? Having that kind of conversation where they realize, oh, it's not just Shae calling about real estate. Like, I genuinely care what you're up to. I think that is so important. A lot of people jump into having a CRM that doesn't work for them.
Yes.
And I think it's the biggest waste of money if you're not actually dedicated to it. If you have a CRM that works for you and you're using all of the tools that it allows, it is an absolute game changer. And you can personalize it to yourself. I'm not big on auto emails. I am a person who will send a personal email.
Yes.
And sometimes it's random. It'll be like, actually last night, I sent an email to a client at 11:30. I was up and I said to her, hey, how's the cottage that you bought last year? Like, what's going on? How are rentals? I'm seeing photos of you guys on TikTok. Like, how's it going? Yeah. And it was just a very impersonal message, but just checking in, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think people sometimes get really stuck on systems that don't work for them, and I really do feel like it affects your business ultimately if you're,
That's right.
if you're not working what works for you. So
you need to get something that keeps you organized and on top of your game, but also you don't lose yourself in it where it becomes so complicated that you 100%. Can't keep up. 100%. And I'll be the first one to say, like, I had a database and a CRM that I rarely used because it didn't work for me.
100%.
And then when I joined Revel, we did the switch over to Planet Orange or KV Core.
Oh, I've heard of them.
Yeah.
Yes,
and we love it. And it allows you to set tasks and reminders to call certain clients. It allows you to, I'm a big filter person. I like to have all my clients filtered by region, what they like, all these different things, right? And so it allows you to really organize it, but what works for me may not work for somebody else.
Yes. And that's the biggest thing. Yeah. I feel like sometimes society will teach people to do everything one way.
Yes.
And it's so important to realize that your brain may not process things and work the way others do. And it's okay to use a different strategy or system that works for you in order to grow your business. And I think once I started implementing that into my business, I never looked at having ADHD as a problem. Mm-hmm. I love the fact that I have that. I'm consistently innovating. I'm never bored. And my clients love it. I'm very open about it. My clients love it. My team loves it. And I think it just keeps things fresh and exciting. So.
Yeah, I love that. and it does. You need to have some kind of contact manager for your business. Once again, a lot of realtors look at this as a job, but it's a business. You're a business owner. You're running a business. You need to have people come to your storefront that you can 100%. Follow up with. And if you don't, somebody else is going to.
And you can have a very easy year. The last few years have been really easy for realtors who have got in. But you can have a very easy year. But in some of the tough seasons that we're walking into, if you don't have that system that's lined up for you, how do you expect to continue to grow your business?
You can't.
Exactly. And that's one of the things I tell realtors all the time. I have a few realtors that I coach, and this is one of the things that I explain to them. You have to find something that works for you and be consistent. Even if they're not ready to buy right now, those clients who said, oh, I'll wait a year, they're coming back a year later to buy with you if you still continue to harbor and nurture that relationship. Yeah. Nurture it. So, yeah.
So
CRMs are everything.
As they are. Well, it's your phone book, right? It's 100%. What you need to have. So then what would your third, path to success be? Or whether it's like a personal thing or a business task, anything that really helped you hone in on that success that you've had?
Focusing on selling things that I actually enjoyed and properties I actually enjoyed. one of the things that I think everybody about me knows is I love cottage country. I love being by water. I'm a Pisces.
I'm a Pisces.
Yes. I love being by water. I love being immersed in nature. So any kind of rural recreational cottage property, it brings me so much joy. And so when you're focusing on things that make you happy, I don't have days where I'm like, oh, I have to work today. Like I jump out of bed and I'm like, okay, 3 hours sleep today, but I'm ready.
Yeah, because you love it.
I love what I do.
You're
and
passionate.
so I took my passion for selling real estate, especially, in waterfront regions, to helping my clients invest in those regions and create generational wealth for their families. It's not to say that I don't do, I own an apartment building, so it's not to say I don't do multifamily transactions or regular residential transactions. I do those, but I really make sure that I'm taking time to cultivate aspects of my career that I genuinely love on a regular basis to just keep me happy, to keep me entertained.
And it keeps the passion high.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's nothing more exciting to a client than seeing their realtor as excited or more excited about the transaction for them.
It's one of the best feelings.
It is.
I had a client who posted something on Facebook, and I saw it the other day, and he posted it in an investor group, and it was a video of us walking through their property that they bought with me. And it was like 11:11, and I'm like, guys, stop. And
You're on the right path.
And he's like, Shae over here manifesting this cottage for us. Like, those are things that bring me so much joy, because I just feel like we have a very long life to live on this planet, and I feel like nothing's worth it if you're not genuinely happy.
Yes.
And if you're only working for a paycheck, this is just not the industry for you.
No, and it comes across that way.
100%.
Yeah, you can tell the realtors who are like, whatever I need to do to make money.
Yes.
And you can tell the realtors who are like, I am going to do what makes me happy.
Yes.
That keeps my passion high, and the money comes.
And there's been times where I've literally walked away from $2+ million deals, and I've said to my clients, like, this is not the right property for you. And I cannot go home and sleep at night if you were to buy this property, because it's just not the right investment. And they'll turn around and they'll say to me, like, Shae, I can't believe, once they get out of their emotions, they're like, what realtor walks away from a deal like that? I'm not in it to have all the business. I'm in it to work with select people who understand what I bring to the table and who have great energy. And that's what it is.
And that's what I love about you. And I think a lot of people should take that into consideration, because abundance is a mindset.
100%.
And when you have an abundant mindset and you're doing the best for others and for yourself in a selfless way, then the abundance comes, right?
So naturally.
Energy output is energy input, right? And that's all about it. And it really is. It's all about self-reflection and knowing what you really want in life, and then changing that into your career, or putting that into your career. And I love that. And what would you say then? Because this is so interesting to me, because there's a lot of new realtors out there who will take anything, everything, doesn't matter, will drive hours away, even if they don't know the market, to say to them, like, follow your passion, sell what you love, do it for the client. Like, how do you wrap that around their heads as don't chase the paycheck?
Well,
That's hard.
It is 100%. And I feel like a lot of realtors get into this thinking, oh, I'm going to make $100,000 right off the hop. But then when they realize what they need to do to make that $100,000, they're like, wow, this is actually really hard.
It's a lot of work.
And the one thing I can tell you is, again, back to ADHD, when you're focusing on something that you genuinely love, the passion is just there. It is so much easier to focus and it's like hyper-focused because you love what you do. And so the advice I would give to any realtor coming into this is, if you're coming into this thinking that you're just going to jump in and make a bunch of money, you're in the wrong industry.
Yes.
You have to, your values and your reasons for jumping into this industry has to be so much stronger. And I will say this because I was the agent who didn't believe this at the beginning. I was the agent, I had many teams approach me, and I, at one point asking for me to join their team. And I said, no, I want to do it myself. I want to make my own money. I don't want to split my commission. And I had a wonderful year, my first year, but I was so beyond burnt out and detached from so many things in my life that brought me joy, to the point where I said, you know what, no, like, I need a team. It's the emotional support, it's the community, it's the friendship. And I would say to any new agent who is joining the world of real estate, find your team. Find your people, find your tribe, find your team. It is not realistic to be a successful independent agent. Everybody needs somebody. Find your team.
Yeah, and find your people. And there's something that there's something so much deeper in life, not just in real estate, about having long-lasting, loyal relationships where you can lean on each other.
Yeah.
Whether it's business, personal, it doesn't matter what it is.
That's so important.
I got you, you got me, we got 100%. Each other. There's something so much more fulfilling in that 100%. Than to just do everything for yourself, by yourself, with no other relationship. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. It's not just about, I'm someone on a team. I'm a part of something.
Yes.
And that is
always
huge. And I know that's how
huge.
you run your team.
Yes.
I can see it in your girls. I mean, I love your social media presence. And it's so great when you look at a team and you're like, any one of these people could be the team lead because they're all at the forefront.
Yes.
And that's a beautiful thing.
That's huge.
It is.
And you know what? I felt like when I was creating my team, there wasn't many people many agents who were out there doing that. No. And that was one of the things, I remember saying to my broker of record, my operating broker, we're really great friends. And so I tell him a lot of things. And I remember saying to him, I'm going to build this team and here's how I'm going to do it. And he's like, Shae, I'm like, yeah, just watch. I'm just going to do it. Because nobody else was doing it. And I felt like, if people are getting this relationship and creating this relationship with you and they want to continue working with you, but in other regions, how can we help, And don't get me wrong, if I have a client who wants to work in an area that my team doesn't work in, I love collaborating with agents in those areas. But if I have an agent that's local and living in that market, I will send that business to that agent. And so, I feel like it's really important to kind of hone in on what you want your career to look like. It's not sustainable. The other thing I would say is don't watch what other people are doing and compare yourself. One of the biggest things that I see, the biggest mistakes agents will make when they join a team and they're new to real estate, you'll see they'll join a team right away. They'll get close with, the team, try to steal the secrets, and then go off on their own and do it themselves. And it never works.
Well, it's because you're not being yourself, right?
It never works.
No.
It never works. You know what? One thing I will say is that when you start focusing on the bigger picture and the people that you surround yourself, energy is everything. I have seen agents who are killing it leave teams, go off on their own, and absolutely tank their career.
Yeah.
Because it's about the energy. It's about the people you surround yourself with, 100%. When you start watching others, when you start comparing yourself to others, and you start to get jealous, wrong energy.
Wrong energy is right. And you know what? It comes back tenfold on them, right?
Always does.
Yeah.
It always does.
Karma's a bitch only if you are.
Yes.
So before we get into that team, because I do want to talk about that.
We'll talk about the girls.
We'll talk about the girls, and I love their presence. What is one thing that you look back on your career and say, I really wish I didn't focus so much time on that?
Yes. I would say I wish I didn't focus so much on going and connecting with agents who were doing things the same way for 15, 20 years.
So the collaborative, doing things differently.
Yes.
Or trying to branch out.
I would say this. So when I got in, I was connecting with some agents who were in the market for 15, 20 plus years. And nothing's wrong with that. But there are two different types of agents. There are agents that's growing with the market, and there's agents who are stuck in a market from 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And I felt like they had reached a certain level of success, which was really admirable, but they were stuck.
Yeah.
And they weren't innovating.
Yeah.
And I think, if you're going to make it 5, 10, 20 years from now, you need to be consistently innovating in your business.
Yes.
And I felt like I was just connecting with these people who were really stuck because, so-and-so has a really great reputation, and that's great. But their business was dying.
Yes.
And so what I would say is spend time connecting with people, not just in your industry, but people who are successful outside of your industry. Finding out things that they're doing, how they run their business, systems that they put in place.
Yes.
You'd be surprised now. I have girlfriends in so many different sectors that are boss babes. And we connect and we strategize and we talk business all the time. And they're not in real estate, but there's so many things that I learned from them that have helped me continue to innovate my business, keep my girls happy, and to keep my clients happy. So I would say finding your people, not just getting stuck on connect with so-and-so because they've been in this market for 20 plus years and they know everything.
Well, look at some of the agents who've come out trailblazing their own paths in the last, 5 to 7 years, young agents new to the business, and they are literally living their authentic self
100%.
and creating a business that's so different than traditional real estate.
100%.
And I mean, just because you haven't been licensed for 15, 20 years doesn't mean you don't know what's going on.
And that's I love that you said that, because I have, I remember when I first got my license, people were like, well, how long are you in the industry for? And I'm like, you know what? Do we have to talk about that?
Yeah.
What does that matter? What does it matter? You're here because you trust. There's a part of you that trusts me.
Yeah.
So let's just do business.
Yes.
Right? And so I completely agree with you. I think it's super important to hone in on those goals and those values and just know who you are, because if you don't know who you are as a person, this industry will run you ragged.
Yes, it will. And you know what's really funny about this? So when I first started in real estate and I came to Brantford, I was really embarrassed to say that I had only been licensed for 3 years, but was the number one agent in Brantford.
Because you were killing it.
But I had this business sense that I don't know where it came from. I didn't take business courses, but I had a vision that I could see so very clearly. And my number one goal was client satisfaction.
Yes.
All I had to do was to genuinely show up for them, make relationships, and the other stuff were just systems that a monkey could be taught.
Yes.
Right? But
Yes.
I genuinely cared, and I
That
really
is
wanted to
huge.
see them succeed in their transaction. But I was embarrassed to say I've been licensed for 3 years when I should have been like, hell yeah, I've only been licensed for 3 years. Right?
100%.
That's right. So
I think a lot of people
that.
get really worked up within that. And I can tell you, like at the beginning, like I actually, I used to have some bigger investors. They'd be like, oh, I've been in the industry. And I said, why does it matter?
Yeah.
And, I think it's one of those things where people really need to just focus on what you bring to the table. And it's interesting because I actually had a client who knew you in your past career.
Yes, that's
and
right.
And then when they found out we were friends, they're like, no way, this is so cool. I was like, yeah, like she's killing it. Like she, and it's interesting because they've said, they're like, we've watched her take off and continue to innovate and continue to grow her business and continue to bring, to build a lifestyle and a reputation for herself and her agents. And I think that's so important.
It is.
You didn't stay stuck where you started off. Even this podcast. I will be honest, I don't jump on a lot of podcasts.
Yeah.
I'm very selective. And clients know that. If they see me on a podcast or if they see me repping or branding or sharing like certain content, they know these are people that you can trust.
Yeah.
And this podcast is not always just about real estate. Sometimes it's just about talking about some of the hard things that not many people want to talk about or are embarrassed to talk about. So,
and you know me, I love the vulnerable stuff right in the
Yes.
fields. That to me is everything in life, right? I mean, that's what makes us
You're
as people.
human.
Exactly.
You're human. And I think that sometimes people, especially in the last few years of COVID and after COVID, sometimes people forgot that we were human.
Yeah.
And so it's super important to set those boundaries, but also show up, not just for your clients, but for yourself.
Yes.
If you can't show up for yourself, and that's one of the things I love about Kate's like 5 a.m. workouts or whatever time she starts, she's showing up every single day. When it's hard, when it's easy, when it's happy, when things are just, stressful, you're showing up. And that's super admirable because it's hard.
It is hard, but I something clicked in me about 5 years ago that if I can't show up for me, how can I show up for others?
100%.
You can't pour from an empty cup.
You cannot.
No, you can only pour when you're overflowing, right?
Exactly.
And that's the thing. So
And people feel
self-fulfillment's a
that.
big thing. They do feel that.
People feel that.
And it's not
genuine
not a
energy.
selfish thing. It's actually quite selfless to put yourself there amongst others because you know that if you can't show up for you, you can't show up for other people.
Yes.
So I love that. So now back to your team.
Okay.
This boss babe team of realtors all across the globe, I feel. And I'm going to say this because I love how you put them at the center stage.
Yes.
And I hope
That's
that they
huge.
feel that because
That's really important
when I
to
go
me.
on your socials, I'm like, man, like it's not just the Shae McLeod show.
No.
It's McLeod and Associates, and it's like these girls have this confidence and this like beauty, and I mean that intrinsically and extrinsically, that look like they are just loving their life. They're doing deals. They're helping their clients. Like, where did you come up with this idea to have these agents in different like geographic locations?
Yeah. So it essentially started when I got my real estate license. I was living in Kitchener. However, I have bounced around a lot throughout my years living, for post-secondary education for family. So I had lived in many different markets and spent a lot of time in different markets. because of that, I already had these connections in those markets who genuinely only wanted to work, with people who had the same values as me. But I realized very quickly it was just not sustainable for me to be driving all the time. I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
At the cost of my mental health. And I had to sit there and focus on, what meant a lot to me. So it was actually pretty interesting. I would say this, I was going through a very, very tough season in my personal life. And I was doing very well, but I was alone.
Yeah.
I was lonely, and I didn't want to say no to my clients because I wanted to be there for them. I wanted to support them and help them. And something said to me, what if you just create a team? You have friends in certain markets. What if you create a team and focus on those markets and have an agent in those markets? So I connected with my broker of record, and I was like, hey, so I have this wild idea, and what do you think? And he looked at me and he's like, Shae, I don't even think it matters what I think because you have this crazy look in your eyes like you're going to do it anyways.
Yeah.
I said, I'm totally doing it anyway, so I just want to let you know. And it worked, It was one of those things where the hardest part about growing a team is protecting the energy of the team.
Yes.
And I think that it's so important to focus on that because these are people that you spend a lot of time with, connecting with, and on a regular basis.
Yeah.
I wanted to create a team that I would join myself.
Yes.
And when I was, team shopping and people were coming and, trying to recruit me, I was looking at all the things that they were doing that I didn't like. And I was like, these are all the things that I'm not going to do.
Yeah.
And I didn't want people to come to a team and just feel like this is the Shae show. I wanted them to feel heard. I wanted them to feel like they're, like they had their own mini business within the business.
Yeah.
So yes, independently, they're dominating their market. But as a whole, we're all in this together.
It's almost like franchise.
Yes.
Right? Like McLeod and Associates
Yes.
is the franchise, and your girls are running these businesses, these smaller franchises within,
Yes.
where you have the culture, you have the education, you have the collaboration, you've got the 6 socials, but then they stand out and
Yes.
they
It's super
represent.
important. It's super important I feel like when you give people a platform and a face to share their passion and their joy, people want to feel a part of something bigger.
They do.
And so, like I said, that protecting that energy is huge. And I watch a lot of newer agents or not even just new agents, but agents who have teams and they get stuck with the idea of having a team but not protecting that team.
Yeah.
And so I'm one of those people where if there's an agent who doesn't make it, they don't stay on my team. It's an energy thing.
It is an energy thing.
And if it's affecting other agents, there's no room.
Go.
It's got to go.
That's right.
And it's one of the best compliments I hear from my girls to this day is they'll say, the energy in our team is so good.
Yeah.
Right? We know if any of us need anything, we're one phone call away, but not even just for work. The other day, this past weekend, one of the girls was up in Muskoka and I was patio furniture shopping. I'm a little late to the game. And I was like, Caitlin, what one do you like? And we have a genuine friendship. And I think that surprises people because people have created, almost like an expectation that you can't be friends with the people that you work with.
Yes.
And I believe you can if you have the right
too.
Boundaries and if you have people who respect you.
That's
If
right.
they don't respect you, that's where it can become an issue. But I think, and I look at your girls and I see you're not just, Kate, the owner of the Kate Broddick team. You are a part of a culture with these girls. You have a friendship.
And I love them. And I love them. I would go to bat for all of them. And that's the biggest thing for me is I will give the shirt off my back for any member of my team.
She will.
And I will stand up and do what I need to do to protect them, to protect their values. I want to hear their voice.
Yes.
And that's such a beautiful thing. And if someone doesn't want to be a part of that, then they can do their own thing, right?
Respectfully.
And that's
do your own thing.
That's
Yes.
right. So now we have a tip and question from James in the City, which
Okay. James
I
in the
love
City.
my James in the City. He is fantastic. And actually, it's a question and a challenge. My apologies, it's not a tip. Oh yes,
James.
yes. It's a question and a challenge. The first one you kind of answered,
Okay.
but I loved it because it seems like a basic question. But why did you get into real estate?
You know what? So I did answer, but to dive a little bit deeper. So my background, once upon a time, I wanted to be a probation officer.
I'm learning something new.
She is. And so once upon a time, I wanted to be a probation officer. My background, I've been working in the legal industry since I was in like grade 9.
Wow.
And not many people know that. My dad always wanted to be a lawyer. My dad's like, Shae, you're really good at negotiating and you like love helping people. And so I was working in the legal industry, and I was working in probation and parole, and I felt like I was way too young to have a career that I didn't love.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that, it's everybody teaches you to go to school, get the expensive piece of paper, get the pension, get the benefits, but nobody talks about doing something that, after a while just drains you.
Yep.
And I realized early on that it wasn't for me, and I wasn't really happy. And so I decided, well, I'm going to switch things up and get a fun job.
Yeah.
And a bridal store had opened up in Hamilton, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go and I'm going to apply. This is actually a true story. I don't think I've ever told anybody this, so I'm going to tell you. So I applied, and it was the longest application process that I've ever experienced. It was like a 45-minute questionnaire. And I didn't think it was I didn't think they were actually going to look at these answers. I was just clicking through. I wasn't answering that questions properly. And the manager followed up and said, we actually can't hire you. You didn't pass the test. I was like, what?
Test?
I was like, what? No way. And so...
Did I screw up a Maggie Sotero versus a Vera Wang?
Seriously.
What's going on here?
The questions weren't even about bridal. That was the worst part. And so, you know me, I got dressed, put on my best outfit, put on my heels, and I went to the store with my resume in hand. Hi, is your manager there? And she said, oh, yeah. I'm like, this is my resume. I introduced myself. And she's like, oh, can you do an on-the-spot interview? I was like, absolutely. I was hired on the spot.
But you failed the test.
But I failed the test. And I went on to be one of their top stylists throughout Canada. There was 11 stores they have in Canada. To the point where when I left and I went into real estate full time, they were like, Shae, come back. I'm like, no, guys, I can't sell wedding dresses anymore. Yeah. But so anyways, like I said, I started out just trying to chase something that just brought me more happiness. And I was doing very well, and my manager had said, Shae, you got to get into real estate. You and your partner, you already have a business, that's already in real estate. You're already into investing. You got to get into real estate. This will change your life. And so, one day I'm like, let me just try this out. And that was exactly what I did.
Aren't you glad you did?
Absolutely love that I did. And the awesome part about it is there are so many brides from that past career who have come back and bought real estate with me. And one of the agents on my team is actually one of the stylists that I trained.
Oh, I love that.
So she followed me after. And so, it was just one of those things where I felt like it made sense in my life. I really wanted a career that gave me purpose and a career that I was passionate about. And one thing that has been ingrained in me since I was a child is I genuinely love helping people. Yeah. And with real estate, you're helping people create generational wealth. You're helping people buy their first home. And it's such a magical feeling. Whenever my clients find the one, when it comes to real estate, it's literally goosebumps. And they'll know, I'll walk in and I'll call them. I'll say, guys, this is it. And we're buying this. And it's just such a wonderful feeling because the whole process of buying any kind of real estate is it can be very stressful. It's a lot of money. It's one of the biggest transactions most people will do in their life. Yeah. So when you're a part of a special memory like that, a core memory like that, it's amazing. Good moment. It's amazing. And so I was more so chasing a feeling. I was chasing, a feeling of wanting to just be around people who knew me and trusted me and believed in me. And I wanted to show them that they could do the same with me, and I would help them achieve their real estate goals through it. And so
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. So your challenge from James.
Challenge, okay.
So James is big on not being that traditional buy, just purchase, sold, happy closing day. So his challenge to you is to make your next 5 social media posts to be with you at the forefront on video, not talking about buying and selling.
Oh, I do that all the time.
I know. Okay. That's what Lauren says.
I do it all the time. Yeah. I love it, though.
You're going to have to step it up.
I love that.
Give him a shout out.
I love that. I totally will. That's so funny. I genuinely love doing that. And sometimes it can be random. I was at Calgary Stampede a few weeks ago.
Yes,
I was in the condo. I was like, hey, guys, let's, Okay, no problem. Challenge accepted.
Challenge accepted. So now for our next guest.
Oh.
What is one question you want to ask them and one tip you want to give them? Or if you want to be like James and go off the cuff with the challenge, you can do that too.
Okay. I would say one question I would ask them would be, what are 3 things that you are doing to protect your passion and your energy?
I love that. I love getting into the feels.
Yes.
The vulnerability.
So that was my
Perfect.
question. The challenge
Or
would
the
be,
tip.
or the tip. I feel like I'm going to go with the challenge.
Yes.
The challenge will be to do something unique for 3 random people who aren't clients.
Give us an example.
So, for instance, one thing that I genuinely love to do is to actually talk to people at Starbucks and, and create friendships with them.
Coffee.
So I'll buy them a drink.
Yeah.
How often has somebody actually bought their Starbucks barista a drink?
I love that. I love that. Very good.
It's something super small, but it completely changes their day. And it's an exchange of energy.
It is an exchange of energy, and it's also about giving out that positive energy to others and making someone's day.
Without expecting anything in return.
Yes. I love that. But that's why I love you. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for all listening to In the Vault with the Kate Broddick team, our absolutely marvelous, phenomenal, bright, shining star guest, Shae. If people want to find you,
Yes.
where's the best place for them to go?
Instagram, my personal Instagram is Shae Nakisha. We'll link that in the comments. And my team's Instagram is McLeod & Associates.
And I would strongly advise everyone to follow this powerhouse female-led team of amazing human beings. Also, just such an amazing colleague to do any kind of transactions with. You put a smile on my face every time I see you. So thank you again for joining us.
Thank you
for
guys.
coming.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
This is awesome.
Yeah, in my vault.
Yes.